Good morning, everybody. We're better together. A cup of coffee and sunrise. Another busy day today. Somebody that don't go nowhere, don't do nothing, seems like. Um, but anyway, I guess I'm gonna start the day off with. Yesterday was a kind of a rough day. I was in a lot of pain. I'm in pain today too, but it's better. It's got to be better today, right, than it was yesterday, and yesterday than the day before. But whether it's better or not today, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get up and do stuff. Can't do this again. I'm gonna try and I'm probably I gotta work stuff today. I think I'm a call at 9 and a meeting and this and that. So I'm gonna try and do some work stuff today. Like I told you, it's been real hit or miss and kind of all over the place. But I want to get back to a little bit of structure in my day. You know, they're kind enough to work with me on it, and I gotta kind of get in the mix. So hopefully, and in the midst of all that today, got a official review. I do know that the results are in, and I think later on this afternoon, Lee had to go to work today. Me and her ain't been necessarily G-on real good yesterday, today. I love her, but she tries to stay so busy sometimes, and I'm like, cleaning and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, nobody cares, dude. You don't have to work yourself to death doing all that. But anyway, so today's gonna be a good day. We woke up above ground, breath in our lungs. God is good. So also I got some friends coming up later, I think, from that I worked with at DOC. So it'd be good to see them. Got some people checking on me. Kind of been back and forth with a couple guys that are coming up this weekend to help. And they got I got them a long list. They wanted to get after it, so I got something for them. But now that I've had surgery, I can't even lift I think I had to get a waiver to lift my coffee cup. But I'm gonna be a little disappointed because I kind of really wanted to get out and help too. So we're gonna see how that goes. But anyway, the praises. Well, Katie was up all day with me yesterday, so that was good. I wasn't here by myself moping. And got a couple things done. We just basically, me and her watched some Saturday Night Live on TV a little bit yesterday. Tried to laugh here and there. And just kind of, unfortunately, I ended up popping 3 pain pills before it was all said and done. I don't know that I'm going to do one today. I think we're going to be all right today without them. But anyway, that's kind of what I got going on today. And just kind of wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about something that's been on my heart. It's been on my heart for a couple of days, but I want to back a couple years ago, we went to River Springs. We were in a life group, and we were in all of them. I think we were probably the only married couple that literally was in every life group at some point. I think some people got a little hurt about that, but Lee and I that's just what we wanted to get to know everybody better. We wanted to be tight with everybody, and life groups are a great thing. And I think they, to kind of just what they are, you walking through life together, kind of studying together. But when your church has 4 or 5 different ones, Lee and I just felt like we ought to bounce around a little bit. So we were in the Atkins life group for a while. We were in the Kirby life group for a while. We were in the Bates life group. We were in the Crosby life group. Just all of them. But look, hey, we got a lot of dear friends because of it too. But one of them, when we were in the Atkins Life Group, and I had a real bad habit of not really doing my homework in Life Group. I always kind of like to wing it. Still do. Pretty much in everything I do, really, I guess. I mean, I prepare for things, when you kind of have to, but sometimes I just like to see what comes of it when you don't have a lot of time to sit down. Where's your heart really at when you don't have a lot of time to sit down and think about things and plan a response or whatever? But one of the studies we did, and I didn't get it in the beginning, a lot of them I don't. Where are you going with this? What's this all about? But anyway, Terry kind of brought it to the Life Group. She said, hey, I want everybody to just be in prayer, meditation, just kind of get with God and pray about one word that God puts on your heart. And I think that was like the first week. That's all we had to do. Pray about one word. So it might have been the only week I ever turned my homework in on time. But so I had that on lock. So I kept praying, and really and truly, I got a lot of words, but I didn't know what I was doing. So, and then it kind of came down to, we had to kind of lock in on a word. And I wasn't real sure. I think I even had 2 words at the time that I was kind of back and forth between. But then after you lock in on that word, then you kind of keep praying about that word and kind of see where it goes from there. So I ended up, God put it on my heart. The word was opportunity. Nothing special about that word, right? But that's what he put on my heart was the word opportunity. And then literally, you start praying. And the goal is ultimately to find a verse out of the Bible that kind of talks to that. So then I prayed about that, and literally in my daily reading at that time, I was reading. I got this black Bible right here, but Ephesians 5:15. And hopefully, I can see. So yeah, the verse that kind of was revealed to me through this prayer and this and that, my quiet time, my devotional, was in the time I was reading the NIV, Ephesians 5:15 and 5:16. It says, so be careful how you live. Don't live like fools, but those who are wise. Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days. And so that just kind of really spoke to me, and I knew then why God put the word opportunity in my heart and why he put this verse into my heart. And here lately, obviously, or for painfully apparent reasons, this word is back in my heart. And I think about this word all the time. And I often said, kind of after this word and this Bible study that I had always wanted to be, after I gave my life to Christ, I had wanted to be a great example of Christ and Christ-like behavior. I'm not. I mean, I always say if you wanna hear about the ugly, you ask the people you live with. They know, they see it. It's kind of easier, I guess, to put on a facade for people out there and hold it together for a little interaction here with somebody and a little interaction there. But your wife and your kids, they know who you are deep down, and of course God does too. But I always wanted to kind of be a great example of that Christ-like life. I wanted to witness to people and tell them about Christ without ever having to open my mouth. I remember one time years ago when I thought I was doing everything right and following God's lead and doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was talking to a guy one day, and he said, "Are you a Christian?" I was like, "Well, evidently not a good one." Because if people have to ask, then we're missing the mark a little bit, right? But one of the things I believe in that word opportunity over the years in pray, continuing to pray, is I believe, it's my personal belief. I ain't never been to the ministry, whatever, preacher school. But I believe every day when we wake up, and I used to love this thing that Denzel Washington says. I'm a big Denzel Washington fan. I think and I don't know him personally. I know little pieces of something I read about him here and there. But I heard him one time talk. He said every night before you go to bed, stick your shoes way up under the bed. He said, because first thing in the morning you won't start out on your knees, and while you're there, you need to get right with God. And so, I've always thought that was kind of a great philosophy. But then within that, I think starting right there, God gives us opportunity. Every morning we have an opportunity to set our alarms a little earlier and get up a little earlier and read and get in the Word and do, these things and not be selfish but selfless, kind of set the pace so that we can take these opportunities, because I think He's going to give them to us all day, every day. We zoom right by them, hundreds probably. But it's a good day when we can take those opportunities to do maybe what we're supposed to do with them. When you look back on Jesus' ministry, and like I said, man, I'm self-taught in all of this. Well, not self-taught. I mean, I did go listen to a lot of preaching and stuff like that, but that don't mean I don't have any of the answers. But I do look back. When they hired me at Windsor Run, this was a scary thing for me because they brought me in for the interview, and George Comfort, the ED, great guy, they all are at Windsor Run, but he asked me, he said, tell me some of the leadership styles that you like to emulate. And man, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, all right, here's the deal. You can tell this guy the truth, and you're probably not going to get this job because nobody nowadays want to hear this. Or you can not serve self, but serve God and just tell him the truth. And I said, okay, you know what? Here it is. I try to emulate Christ. And this is a job interview with the ED. Typically, they don't want to hear that. They probably want to hear, I don't know who they want to hear. They want to hear that you emulate this, that, and the other. But I was like, to me, you can't be a better leader than Christ was. Christ ate, slept, drank. He did everything with his disciples. He took every opportunity. You hear countless and countless stories where he's just walking by people, and the next thing you know, there's that interaction. And then sometimes he led them to Christ, sometimes he didn't. Sometimes that seed was planted, and sometimes they came back looking for him later. But long story short, he never missed an opportunity. And the truth is, his ministry wasn't that long. And probably there's a bunch of theological experts that are going to be like, well, actually, you're wrong about that. But in what I read, I don't see where he was really getting in the meat of it. But a couple years with a couple of guys, right? I knew he led everybody he came in contact with, but he really kind of poured into 12 guys or so. And one of them kind of betrayed him, right? Which he knew that was coming, but that's an old story that we hear often, right? But so, he did a lot with a little bit of time, and he knew his story. He knew how it was going to play out. And within that, another great leader that I like to kind of grasp a hold to, and I mentioned this the other day, is Martin Luther King. I think Martin Luther King's a great leader. And there's others. There's a bunch of others. But one of the things that I have found when I look into the people that I think are great leaders, they also try to be that servant leadership. They've all, pretty much every one of them that I've ever determined to be just one that I would want to emulate, also want to emulate Christ. So anyway, but within the opportunity, and I shared that one with you about, so just kind of be careful how you live. Don't live like fools, but those who are wise. Make the most of every opportunity in these evil days, and these are evil days, people. Uh, and then I've also highlighted in here, pay careful attention then to how you walk, not as unwise people, but as wise, making the most. Oh, this is from the NIV, but this is the other version. But anyway, that's so in Ephesians. So as I'm reading through Ephesians, right, back in the day, then all of a sudden, man, it seemed like everywhere I read, they were talking about these opportunities. And then another one, I'm just kind of going, I did make some notes. And see, that's why I like winging it, because when I make notes, then I get all, well, did I say this? Do I need to do this? But again, selfish is not the way to go. We don't want to serve self. We want to serve others, just like Christ did, just like Martin Luther King did, and like so many before us have. That's where you get those jewels in the crown, man. But so also, and let's see if I can get here real quick. Ozzy's ready to come in. I hear him out there screaming and hollering. That's my cat. Well, actually, he's not my cat. I guess I'm his because he tells me what to do. He just goes and looks at stuff, and I open it for him. And I can't say what me and Leah call him sometimes because it's inappropriate, but he's a little butthole. But another verse, I labeled this section most of the time, Colossians. It says in Colossians, devote yourself to prayer, stay alert in it with thanksgiving. At the same time, pray also for us that God may open a door to us for the message to speak to the mystery of the Messiah. I may reveal it as I am required to speak. Walk in wisdom towards outsiders, making the most of the time. Your speech should always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you should answer each person. So that's basically talking back to the opportunities. But one thing that I love that kind of gets roped in here or brought in is it kind of talks about how a little bit. Walk in wisdom towards outsiders, making most of your time. Your speech should always be gracious and seasoned with salt. So 3 things that I have kind of noted that you'll never get back. And one of them is time past. It just ain't happening. So within those opportunities that we have to make a difference, to make an impact, and I've been in situations where many times where I've talked to people and thought, I'm going to circle back. I remember a story a while back, this was years ago, and we were going to talk to a guy who wanted to talk to us, me and some of the men from the men's ministry, and I prayed about it, and I never liked to be like a forceful, Bible-thumping kind of guy, and this guy had reached out and wanted to, somebody had asked us to go talk to him, and I prayed. Benji's getting after some sleep, y'all. Remember I told you, you're getting after sleep, you're making some noise? I'll tell y'all a funny story about Benji later, but drop a peg or whatever, pin. But anyway, so we were going to talk to this guy, and a good brother of mine, Tim Raymond. I love you, brother. But Tim was the opposite of me. I was the kind of, let's sit down and let's build a relationship and let's start to talk casually. Tim was a, let's get after it right now. Well, what's on your heart? What's on your mind? What are you talking about? So anyway, we're going to talk to this guy, and I didn't want to, day one, come after it. And so I was kind of throttled back a little bit. But luckily, the grace of God, he was putting it on Tim's heart to get in there and let's talk about it, get after it. So anyway, long story short, we left that day, and I never saw that guy again. He passed before we could come back. So I kind of learned a lot from that. So within the opportunities, like I said, there are 3 things in life that you'll, in my opinion, never get back, and time is one of them. Be careful with your time, man. Be thoughtful. And just make the most of it, man. Seize every opportunity, just like Christ did, just like Martin Luther King, man. He ain't waste 1 minute when he was on this earth. I mean, there's a lot of others too, but you know, that's what we're called to do. That's what I'm called to do. My word is opportunity, and I got to make the most of my time, and it is most relevant now. The other thing is the spoken word, right? So you're never gonna get, you can't get back that time. And there's a lot of things that I've left unsaid, and I didn't, when I wanted to circle back, that opportunity was gone. So I've learned a lot about making the most of every opportunity. And the spoken word, man, words are dangerous. Words are great. Words are amazing, and words are hurtful. So never speak out of anger. And I do it all the time, and then I regret it. But the key for me is I always make mistakes, and I fail, and I fall, but I really do try. And then sometimes I just get wrapped up in the sin and the jealousy and the anger and the pride. They just pull you in. But if you can get rid of them things, people, you're going to be good. If you can get rid of those things and you can take advantage of every opportunity God gives you, you'll be solid, and you can leave this world a better place. But number one, you'll never get back time. Number two, you'll never get back a spoken word. You say something hurtful, and that's out there forever. And I'll never forget my mother-in-law, and I love her to death. She passed a while back. She said something when I was dating my wife, and she didn't mean nothing by it. But we had said that, you know, I went through the whole process. I went to her dad and asked him for a hand in marriage, and he's like, all right, that's cool. Tell me the plan, what you gonna do, what she gonna do, how you gonna make ends meet, da-da-da-da. Went through all that, and then when I told her mother, gut reaction. She said, I just always thought Leah would do better than that. And, you know, I've thought about that over the years. It probably drove me to really just say, you know, better? Leah could do better than that? And she could have, truth be known. But she didn't mean it personally. She didn't mean it at me. At that time, I was asking Leah to marry me and start a life, which meant she was not going to finish college and da-da-da-da-da. So I know good and well Sarah didn't mean better than you. I just know she meant that she thought Leah was going to finish a few things up before. But even to this day, here I am, 30-some years later, I'm still talking about it, right? So words can be hurtful. And, I mean, it is a simple little thing. Like, I've probably said a ton of them to my daughter about her ex-boyfriends and stuff. And so anyway, just be real careful with your words, people. They're hurtful, and that's not what they're meant to do. You know, kind of going back to, we are to be Christ-like and use words if we have to. Well, those words are not, you're not going to bring nobody to Christ being hateful and mean. Those words have to be uplifting and encouraging. And my mom one time told me, she said, hey, here's what we can do. She said, you never want to hurt anybody's feelings if they like have you over for a meal. She said, sometimes just go ahead and give that compliment before you taste the food. She said, you know, they sit that plate down there and you say, oh my God, this smells amazing. This is the best looking meal I've ever seen. She said, that way, if it tastes like dirt, you're good. All right? You already found a positive in this meal, and you ain't got to come back to that again. You can just keep going back. Oh man, I just love what you did with this meal. So, you know, and that ain't lying, right? That ain't lying. The meal probably did look real good and smell good and this and that and the other. But anyway, just remember that those spoken words are never coming back. And they stick with people that hear them a whole lot longer than the people that spoke them. And then the last one I want to talk about real quick. And Leah gave me these really cool little magnets. Leah's been a champ, man. And like I said, y'all, please continue to keep praying for me and her, because like I told you, I saw where this thing can really tear families apart or build them together. And my family ain't gonna get tore apart by this thing. I can promise you that. But at the same token, you know, I'm walking around in pain. I'm being short, full of anger, a little bit of jealousy, because everybody else is feeling fine. So I got some things I still got to work through, people. But then I also wanted to share this one in Philippians. And remember now, this is back, rewind, this is back in a time when, I was just asked to, hey, pray to God, let him give you a word. Pray to God about now, where does that word fit into his scripture? And then how does that word fit into your life? And that was a study that I really was struggling to get on board with in the beginning. And here I am 5 years later, man, and I'm kind of talking through a little devotional from it and basically telling each and every one of you guys that you need to pay attention to these scriptures that I'm sharing with you, because we never know. And I often think back, I talk about F3 guys a lot, man. And one of the things that I love about it, and I was in the Army years ago, and even though it would suck getting up and doing boot camp workouts at 4 o'clock in the morning, we'd be talking trash. We'd be smacking down on the drill sergeants, and we'd be busting each other's chops. So you kind of made it tolerable. And I thought a lot, I've been thinking a lot about, I got some other brothers in F3 that I mentioned that I kind of checked out on them, and they're struggling. And there was one guy, man, that was an absolute freaking martyr, man. He was just the best guy. And when you get up in the morning at 4 o'clock and you go to Turning Point, I tried to think of the name of that place the other day. I couldn't do it for nothing because I'm getting old. But we would go to Turning Point, and there was some real beast out there, man. One dude, oh man, Treadmill. Treadmill was amazing, dude. He could bear crawl better than a bear. But anyway, so we would all bring these friendly new guys with us, and they would post on a Thursday morning, 4 a.m., whatever it be. And I think I told you all about Cheech. Well, he came, and I forget all his backstory. I think his wife maybe was a teacher or something too. But he was a real good dude, and they kind of go through a point, and maybe I'm throwing out some secrets that I ain't supposed to. Y'all forgive me for this, guys. I'm dying with cancer, guys. Give me a break. But we all kind of tell people what we're into and this and that, and I might have shared this with you, but he's like, he had gotten a new grill that weekend, I think for his birthday, man. But anyway, and he kind of throws out, I love to smoke stuff, and we're like, Cheech. But man, I want to say, man, probably a year and a half later, they were running, and he got hit, and he died. And I probably made mention of this. I'm sure he would love to be able to trade places. He would love to have had, even if it was earmarked, some time. And anyway, and his opportunities. I feel sure that when he got up that morning, he's putting on his gear to go work out. He didn't think that would be the last time. So anyway, praying for him and his family. But so one of the things that I want to kind of close on in Philippians 4:10, and this was one we read the other day. And some people are going to say, hey, wait a minute now, you're taking that a little bit out of context. But when we read it the other day, it spoke to me because we talked about making the most of every opportunity. We're not going to get that time back, so we got to make it count. We got to be careful with our words when we're taking advantage of those opportunities. Don't say something stupid. You know what I mean? Why would you do that? Or if it's done, it's done. Now just figure out the way through it. So time, taking advantage of those opportunities, careful with our words. Don't speak out of anger or pride or jealousy. Speak out of a sincere, true conscience, pure conscience, and a clear heart. And then in Philippians, and if I'm taking this out of context, I'm sorry, but get over it. And remember, we read this one like one day this week. I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at least you have renewed your care for me. You were, in fact, concerned about me, but lacked the opportunity to show it. And I think I mentioned this a little bit. This is back in Paul, and I think the Philippians were kind of supporting Paul. you know, and he didn't ask for it, but they were just like with me right now, man. The last thing I want is anybody thinking they need to do something for me. That's not what I want at all, but people are doing it. People were supporting Paul through this, and I guess Paul gets put in jail, and then, you know, they're like, well, let's think about this. How much good is Paul really going to be doing in jail? So let's maybe take this opportunity to do something else. But I think maybe in hindsight, they shouldn't have took their foot off the gas, because Paul is Paul. So basically, he even says it in here, that they lacked the opportunity. I don't know that they lacked. I don't know that we lack opportunities. I think we choose to serve self sometimes over Christ. You know, and it can be as simple, man, as you're on the way to work, and I've had this happen more than once, because my kids will tell you, I just talk a lot to everybody. And going into a convenience store, and I've gone in there, you know, several times or whatever, and getting a drink on the way to work, and I'm like, hey, good morning, man. And they're like, hey, good morning. I'm like, how's things going? Man, it ain't going good at all. It ain't going good at all. And then here it comes, and I'm standing in line trying to get my drink or whatever, you know, and I'm like, all right, man, you got a decision to make, dude. Right here and right now, this person is hurting because they just gave you everything you wanted to know. What are you going to do with it? You going to buy that drink and get in the car? Or are you going to loiter around in the store a little bit and let the line clear down, maybe be late to whatever you're going to, and make sure these people are okay? So, I mean, I think the opportunities can be that simple or huge. I mean, there's a lot of days, man, when I'm at my work, and everybody there does the same thing, where we're just walking down the hall. Well, guess what? We're on the way from this meeting to that meeting, but there's a resident that is having a bad day. They don't know where their apartment is or something. And, you know, within that, luckily, because that's what we do at Windsor Run, you can kind of get a pass on being late to that meeting, but those opportunities are there if you're not self-absorbed and just concerned with what's going on in your life. So what I don't want you to do, all right, things you're never getting back is time. All right, like this 32-minute video I just shot, I'm not getting that time back. So I pray that my words and God's infiltration into my brain makes this 32 minutes that you guys don't regret. But you're never getting that time back. Those harsh words or those great words, those words of encouragement, you're not getting those back. So do the most with that. And any missed opportunity, man, any missed opportunity, you're not getting it back. Like yesterday, you know, we didn't do much, but I got to spend some time with my daughter, and a lot of it was me going, and but man, 3 weeks ago, you think me and her would have laid up in the bed and watched TV all day? Nope. She'd have been busy going to do this, that, and the other. I'd have been busy going to do this, that, and the other. So it is what it is. Don't miss those opportunities. And I want to leave with a quote, because like I said, you know, time, you're not getting back. Spoken word, you're not getting back. And any missed opportunity, you will not get it back. And I've got a quote here. And I didn't even see this movie, but I get this thing on my phone, motivational quotes and this and that. This one was from The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. But the quote says that our lives, yours and mine, are defined by the opportunities that we have, be it good or be it bad. So I want you to go seize them like Christ would. I don't want you to walk by one. I want you to take advantage of every opportunity that comes before you, and I want you to leave a good, powerful mark on this world. That's my prayer for you today, and continue to pray. Pray for me and Leah, because you know, this isn't easy. Pray. I'm still praying for that miracle. And I do have an official review today with my doctor. and he had alluded to a couple of Hail Marys that could potentially be in there. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Leah talked to him a little bit yesterday off the record, because he was real excited when he saw the results. So I got a feeling that I might get another little shot of hope today. So I'm praying for that, because he wanted to look at some more things and this and that and the other, but she said he was giddy as a schoolgirl when he called her. And that's why I've been telling everybody, it's like, you need to get a second opinion, you need to do this. I had like 7 opinions already. And every one of these guys, man, have been working around the clock trying to help me figure this thing out. So at the end of the day, the last conversations was still, it's stage 4, but the Hail Mary wins were, they've kind of ruled out esophagus, colon, and they couldn't find a point of origin, so they kind of went away from pancreatic, lung, appendix. So the other day when we were talking, still kind of on the table, or was pancreatic, but also he mentioned that the gallbladder could be in play, and I don't know much about gallbladder cancer, but he also mentioned that he thought I was a little bit too young for that one. But then there's that peritoneal where it just absolutely forms in your abdomen wall, and that is the point of origin. There's like 2% of the people in the world that have that. And I told him in that meeting that day, and I was like, well, Doc, I'm gonna be honest with you. Now I feel like I'm struggling bad, but that day I was like, man, I don't feel like I got nothing wrong with me. He goes, maybe you don't. Let's keep praying for that, dude. But that's not the case. But he mentioned, and I mentioned to you guys, that it could be lymphoma. And lymphoma, peritoneal gives me time. I've got possibly, 18 to 24 month window to, if we fight it and we can kind of get it back and da-da-da. Peritoneal gives me time, which would be awesome. And I think lymphoma also will buy me some time, and it's treatable. There's a treatment plan for that. And the other options, I've done talked to the palliative care people and all that. All the other options are basically palliative care. But the one option, the Hail Mary, and I don't know how this works. I'll have more information for you later, I suppose. But if it is lymphoma, then we're going to fight this thing tooth and nail, because there's a chance. So you guys keep praying for me, because I'm going to tell you right now, man, there's no way in the world. I told you when we started these videos that we were going to see God's hand in action. Be it he gives me peace with coming home to the Maker, which he has. My son asked me yesterday, he goes, but were you really at peace with dying? I said, yeah. I really am. I don't want to go, but I am at peace with it, and especially because some of those tiny miracles along the way, I was worried financially about the family, and then talking to some, I got a meeting with a financial planner next week, and kind of talking through some things with the people, and they're like, dude, you and your wife have made sound decisions along the way, and I can promise you we prayed about every one of them too, but they're like, they're going to be okay. So there's been a ton of miracles. And I told you the other day, I wasn't putting no binders on God. I was asking him, hey, give me peace with this and just help me with this. But then I started praying for the big miracle. And so pray with me for that big miracle. And we'll see what he says this afternoon. About 2:30, 2:40, I think we're going to meet him. But anytime the doctor calls and is giddy with information, that's typically going to be a good thing. So we'll see. I know they did put this port in, and like I said, they've been quick on the trigger. But anyway, I'm gonna have to shut this thing down, man. I just see where my boss tried to call me, and I need to get in touch with him and do some things. So Go today. Go seize every opportunity the good Lord gives you. Take advantage of that time because you can't get it back. Choose your words wisely. You won't get those back either. And don't let an opportunity go by. Seize every one of them, just like Christ. I love you guys. I hope tomorrow morning we'll have a great conversation about my doctor's review. Don't know what that looks like, but you guys have a great afternoon. God bless you all. Seize those opportunities, people.